Okay, so onto this part of the video, I'm going to show you how to manipulate the different texture that you could have here. So into the sources file, you can grab this texture here and drag it directly into your Canva Photoshop. Press enter to directly set it up that way. And from now, I just need to change the color of this element in order to make it match with the red color first. So in order to do that, you're gonna press Ctrl U, or you can go into image adjustment and check for hue saturation, and you can see that the shortcut that I'm going to use is going to be Ctrl U. In order to make it red, we are going to just slide our element onto the limit that we need. It's going to be something like, yeah, minus dash 77, something like this. And the saturation, I have to make it, I think we don't need to touch it too much. Maybe we need to a little bit make it more to put up a little bit of lightness, but you can see that it's -2 and +1, so it's not gonna change a lot. But for now, and we are able to see what could be done with this kind of texture. Okay, so into this kind of element here, we are going to set up with a brush into a mask to integrate this texture onto our image project here. So what you can do is just lower the opacity and put that to 50% to see how it can be done with the different kind of texture. Did you want to be set here? Did you want to mask this part? We need to put something like this, and then maybe we're gonna stretch it a little bit in order to don't have this final part of the splash just around the bottom part. So I'm gonna set that to 0%, and we are going to create a mask and this stuff just by clicking on this tiny icon. So now I'm able to pick a brush, make it with a hardness of 100%, and painting it black just to mask some part of the texture here, because I don't need to have this. Okay, so into it, sometimes that could happen that you have this tiny problem here. It seems that you don't want to erase the word part of the element, so we are going to check that we don't have, as you can see, I'm not in really black. It seems black, but it's not, because I can see that the value here got something different. I don't know why I get something like this, but now once I get some full black, I'm gonna be able to erase the part of the texture that I don't need. And from now, so I'm just gonna put that to the limit, and from now I think it's okay to begin to integrate this part of the texture into this one. So let me check here, that's gonna be okay. I'm just gonna press Ctrl T and Hold Shift in order to stretch it, okay, because as I told you, I don't want the texture is gonna overlap this part. So something like this, I'm gonna press enter. I'm just gonna erase the part that it's under, because I don't need that. Okay, and I'm gonna be able to see the shadow. And from now, how to make this overlapping more smooth, you can just, into your mask, pick the white colors here. So you definitely have to check that it's white. It wasn't white for me, so I'm gonna pick to be able to see that it's full white. The value here has to be on 255 and 255 on every channel, or FFF here, or light to 100% to be sure that it's some white. Okay, so I'm gonna pick something with a hardness to 0, something really smooth, and I'm gonna begin to just paint one time, as you can see, to make the element reappear. So now I just have to pick the black color, and maybe I can pick the selection of this sneakers here to be sure that I don't gonna overlap my previous work. So I'm gonna pick the brush again, and now I have to tell him that I need to paint to this area because it didn't let me. So I'm just gonna go to select and inverse. Okay, so now I'm able to paint all around without erasing the part inside. Okay, so now I can press Ctrl D, and I just need to erase this part really smoothly to make that things visible. Okay, so it's not so bad. I'm gonna go to integrate the other part of our texture. So into the source, I've created another kind of splash here, and we are going to integrate this splash into the bottom part. So again, I think it's gonna be better to put that just under our red texture here, and we just need to transform this with a Control T. So we are going to make overlap onto this element, Alt Shift, and stretch it a little bit, maybe make it more bigger in order to be able to integrate that in an easy way, because most of the time you prefer to have some more texture and erase it than don't have enough texture. So I prefer to make it in the right size and then be able to smoothly with a mask erase the part that I don't need into this stuff. So I need to erase smoothly some part into it, into my bubble here, and the texture is quite okay after. So our texture is mainly done, so we just need to add some more effect onto it. So to do that, maybe I'm gonna put the splash in two different elements, in two different groups, so I can group that and call it splash. And now the last part is going to be the double gradient that I'm gonna set onto the whole image. So you're gonna have an adjustment layer with a hue saturation, and I'm gonna select from red to, I think I'm gonna go to red to purple. So the first element is gonna be go from purple to red here. So once you have the purple effect, you are going to go onto the mask here, click on the gradient, you're gonna edit your gradient, and be sure that you go to foreground to background color or to black to white. Okay, the gradient type is gonna be solid with a smoothness of 100%. Are you just gonna go from this part? Okay, be sure to be into this area here. So you can go from red to purple, and you can, if you want to reverse this part, you can just press Control E to reverse this element. Okay, so that's gonna go from purple to red. If you press Control E, from red to purple. Okay, that's a good way to change the direction and the way of your gradient. So now I can duplicate it. This is called the double gradient effect. And now we can reverse by pressing Control E. So it's go to purple, but now we are able to double click into these settings and just change my gradient element. So that's gonna go from yellow to nothing, from nothing to purple. Okay, so that's why it gives you this kind of effect here. So if you modify the saturation of this element, you can see that it's going to be applied to this part. So let's see. From here we go to purple to nothing, because the red is belong to the part that it was before. Okay, so this is why it's white here. It's allow the modification of the color. So from purple to nothing, and then from nothing to yellow. That's why it gives you the double, this kind of nice double gradient into it. So let's reset a little bit our, we're gonna rearrange the whole composition here. So we're gonna select from bot to hue saturation, press Ctrl T, and now we are able to change a little bit the way our elements are displayed. Okay, so that's mainly how it goes. Maybe I don't need to move the hue saturation element. So maybe I made a mistake doing this. So I'm just gonna pick the splash on the bot, and yeah, be sure that it's gonna be. Maybe I can put a little bit more movement into it as well. But now I'm able to move whatever I want into it. So the last element that I'm gonna set onto the background are a little tiny shadow. So it's gonna be just on the top of the first light that we get. We are going to pick one color onto the here, so it's not really a black, it's something like gray, but you can pick black, it's gonna be exactly the same stuff. I just need to make a line like this. Okay, this is a technique that you can use in order to make a shadow. So I'm just clicking one time here, holding shift, and click onto the next side. That's going to be set a straight line. So now what I advise you to do is to make a little more tiny blur onto it. So go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. So it's going to be really smooth, something like, yeah, the radius with not more than 6. Okay, and then we're going to press Ctrl T to transform that, and hold Shift and Alt in order to transform that in this way. Okay, so now you can lower the opacity to something like, yeah, 20%, something like this. And we are going to go to filter and blur that again with a Gaussian blur. So now I'm going to blur it a little bit more to something like 10, something like this, to have a really smooth shadow, and you can stretch that the way you want in order to make it more smooth. It's even too strong, I think, so I'm going to lower the opacity. It's just something that, yeah, I don't want it's to go too far away. I can erase as low this part of the splash that you don't want. So there are several ways to do that, but onto my splash, my white splash here, you can use the mask in order to paint into black to mask this kind of element that you don't need. Okay, so here we go, it's nearly ready. So maybe I need to have a last element onto it, like on the top we're gonna add a curve element just to raise the level. Here I'm gonna lower the contrast of the black point, so it's gonna make it more contrasted, and onto the top level I'm gonna make it higher. That's gonna make the white more white and the color more popping out, if I can say. So as you can see, that's gonna have, I'm gonna have something really flashy into it. You can as low lower the opacity, and you could as low make a whole screenshot of this element, or we can add some more effect onto it. I advise you to add this effect onto a new dynamic object, because once you have this, you can select what you want into this part. So what we can do is to select the whole layers of our element and right click and convert to smart object. Okay, because that's gonna allow us to change the way that the special effects are displayed. So for example, if you click onto, we're gonna add an adjustment level with something like color lookup. Okay, so you're gonna be able to load a 3D LUT effect onto it. So we can, for example, go to you can choose some different elements. So you can use one element, one cube into it, and then change that to see the one that it's pleased to you. Okay, so for my composition here, I'm gonna use the soft warming look, but you can, after what it's convenient, is that you can lower the opacity or change it the way you want. Or you can, for example, if you want to check some different variation of your work, duplicate this one and mask this one. You just double click, and let's check with another one. We are going to use the Kodak one. So where is this? Yes, the Kodak. Yeah, so that's gonna make something more even some popping out. So we're gonna double click on this one. I'm gonna put off my curve and save and see what happened when I go back into my new Untitled. Yeah, so that's gonna make it pop, and this one's gonna make it some more warm. So you can add definitely some more 3D LUTs effect onto it and choose that the way you want. So there is our final project. Now I'm gonna save that, going to File and go to Export, Save for the web. And normally, if you are just in the original, you should have some two ups here. The one on the bottom is gonna be your export. So into this element, I've selected the PNG 24. So this is our original document. So normally, if you're an original, you can set two ups. And if you're clicking in the bottom, you can select into the drop-down list the kind of export you want. So I'm gonna select PNG4 and I'm gonna click on Save. You can as low change the size here if you need to have something different. but here I want to save it in a full resolution. Click on save, and that's going to be my final image. So at the end, I got my PSD that I can edit and change and see the different variation of my image. Like if you want something more purple than pink, here you just have to go back here. You can adjust some of the level that you want to change here, for example, and you can make it in a different way. So you just have to save and then close that, and you're gonna see the difference. Okay, so here is the final result that you get here. Hope that you enjoy and you learned some stuff, and yeah, thank you for your attention.